Okay, but here's what I get really honked off at New Testament professors like at this place.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Josh. This is Save Skeptic, and I have got a treat for you today. We've got a video from the man himself, Cliffe Knechtle, the king of street preaching at universities, and he's going to respond from a student with a question of how we can know that the Bible is the true word of God. And I love Cliffe's response, but I want you guys to take a look and notice something that he doesn't say. And the thing that he doesn't say is actually probably the biggest reason I started to look at the Bible seriously. But let's watch the video and then I'll explain to you what I'm talking about after the video. So let's take a look.
How do you know, Bible doesn't have these human aspects and it wasn't changed by religion over the years? How do you kind of have this trust in the Bible that it's purely from God and it tells the pure truth about Jesus?
There is absolutely no way that I or anybody else could show you that the Bible comes from God. How would you do that? See, that's where I was trying to point out to my Muslim friends here. See, their whole insistence, Quran's a word of God. You can't show that. The same way I can't show that the Bible's a word of God. You can't show that any book is from God. That's absurd. Totally absurd. Well, then what can you show? You can show that a text is historically accurate or not historically accurate. So, I have the evidence that the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are historically accurate. Does that mean that there are no manuscript variants? No, it does not. In fact, as Bart Ehrman puts in Misquoting Jesus, that best-selling book, there are between 300,000 and 400,000 manuscript variants in the New Testament, and there are only 140,000 words. So that means, guys, you've got 3 or 4 variants for every word. Okay, but here's what I get really honked off at New Testament professors like at this place. They fail to tell you that those 300 to 400,000 variants, manuscript variations, are found in 20,000 Greek manuscripts. 20,000, which means because the average Greek manuscript of the New Testament is over 400 pages long, these 300 to 400,000 manuscript variants are found in 2.5 million pages. Now just let that sink in. Those 300 to 400,000 manuscript variants, which means, no, we don't have the perfect New Testament. We have a plethora, though, of manuscript evidence that we have what those authors really wrote, okay? So, does that mean the Bible's a word of God? No. Does it mean the New Testament is historically accurate? Yes. So, simply read the New Testament as history and ask yourself, does the historical evidence of the way Jesus lived, treated people, what he taught, like the Sermon on the Mount, the way he died, loving and forgiving his enemies as he nailed to wooden crossbeam, and the way he rose from the dead 3 days after he died, does that historical evidence point to him being credible, trustworthy, reliable, or not? And then you decide for yourself. You don't take it from me, you don't take it from someone who's indoctrinating you, and you definitely don't take it from a UT professor. You've got to do your homework, guys. You got to study the Gospels for yourself. They're only about 140 pages, so don't get weirded out by it. Read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and ask yourself, does the historical evidence of the way he lived, taught, died, and rose from the dead point to his credibility or not?
What an amazing response from Cliffe Knechtle. He has just shown a masterclass in how to tailor the gospel to your audience. He's at an academic institution. Therefore, he's highlighting the historical accuracy of the gospel message. You've got a lot of students in the audience who are listening to this, and they will hopefully take the gospel seriously. And they may have heard over and over again that it's full of myths, that it's full of legends, but in fact, it's not. It's a historical text. But what I mentioned at the beginning of the video is I thought that there was one other aspect that he could have mentioned, and I get why he doesn't, but it's the fact that the Bible not only is filled with hundreds of prophecies that have come true, but prophecies that we're actually living out right now here in the last days. For example, Daniel 9, which, if I remember correctly, is the 70 weeks prophecies that predicts to the exact day when Jesus made his triumphal entry into Jerusalem, or the fact that Psalm 22 details the crucifixion long before crucifixion was even a form of punishment, or Isaiah 53, one of the greatest chapters in the Bible, not only detailing Christ's death, but his resurrection and then the impact of that after he rose again. So you've got all these prophecies. You got Ezekiel, and then you look at the end times that we're living in, how the Bible predicted that in the last days that Israel would become a nation again after more than thousands of years in 1948. I would argue there's even a prophecy in Ezekiel 4, I think it is, that gives us the exact day and month when Israel would become a nation. You have all these prophecies that literally testify to the word of God. And I think that as Christians, we can know that the Bible is the word of God. And I would really love, Cliffe to say that, to tell the students that message, but I understand that he's at an academic institution and he wants to speak to them in their place and in an academically sort of way. And I get that. And the Bible is one of the very few texts in the world we can actually know what was originally written. We can't know that about other historical documents because there were only a few that are left for us to study. But the fact that we have thousands of manuscripts, we can compare and contrast, and we can eventually, it's called textual criticism, where we can actually see that what the Bible actually says. It's an amazing thing. I love Cliffe Knechtle. I'm so glad he's out there in the universities. What do you guys think? What did I miss? Did you like the video? If so, please give it a like, thumbs up. I really love to get this out to more people. Take care and God bless.